And I'm curious, Coz. 2 years ago it seemed like we had this fresh-faced, new kids on the block. The Splash Brothers, Steve Kerr. They were such a lovable group. 2 years later, they had Kevin Durant. All of a sudden, people are putting the black hat on them. What's your thoughts on that?
I think I understand why people outside the Bay Area look at them with the black hat. I think that in the Bay Area, we consider them to be ours, and we love everything about them. And even when they have their warts and their foibles, we can come up with excuses or say it's adorable because they wear our uniform and because they continue to win at the highest level. But I completely understand why, if you're outside of Northern California, you can look at this team and say there's a lot not to like. They come off at times as smug. They're charming, and yet, I don't know, sometimes I think they almost look down on others. I'm saying that's a perception. Internally, I can only tell you, every time you sit down with one of the guys, they're nice as the day is long. But I understand how outside the Bay Area you would say, you know what, I'm sick of you guys either making a political statement. I'm sick of you guys being smug. I'm sick of Draymond Green mouthing off. But in the end, individually, all extremely nice guys.
Yeah, and I can respect that. And for me, it's not anti-Warriors. I never thought growing up, oh my goodness, I hate the Golden State Warriors. How could you possibly hate them, whether you date back to Mullen or Tim Hardaway Jr., Mitch Richmond, all those guys. And even the first time that they won a championship came out of nowhere. But Durant going there, Durant bothered me a little bit. But who cares what I think? I mean, and I think that's I don't think it's anti-Golden State Warriors. I think it's just anti-Durant joining a great team.
Anti-super team.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
And I understand that. And Sal, quite frankly, I mean, your opinion matters as much as anyone else's, because there is a large chunk of NBA fandom that doesn't like the fact that there are super teams. But I will say this about the way the Warriors were built. When you look at their super team status, you start with the fact that they drafted the majority of the key personnel. Just 90 miles away with the Sacramento Kings, they had a chance to take Steph Curry. They took Tyreek Evans. A couple years later in the draft, they had a chance to take Klay Thompson. They took Jimmer Fredette. So in the same draft, just ahead of where the Warriors were selecting, the Kings made bad selections at that time. And that's 2/5 of a starting lineup, two guys who have been two guys who have been NBA All-Stars, and now two guys who are very key pieces to a championship team. Same thing with Draymond Green, drafted in the second round. So every NBA team had a chance to get him, and they all missed out on him. It wasn't until the end when they added Durant after they had already won a championship, in which they said, hey, we needed to retool because the Bogut's of the world and maybe even the Harrison Barnes of the world weren't going to be what we needed for the future, that they went out and did it. So they're a hybrid of what the Miami Heat did, but they also built a lot of their own.